What up YouTube, it's Miserate's Company. In today's video, we are jumping straight into a single target build for the Barbarian that you can use in both raids, dungeons, and challenge rifts. I feel really good about this build. It was the only build that I could find from anyone really that made me feel good and even strong with the Barbarian. I still stand by my previous videos where I have talked about the Barbarian feeling a little weaker than some of the other classes, especially the Blood Knight. I'm going to be doing a tier list later on, but really the Barbarian could use a little bit more oomph again, but this build does make it feel pretty decent. So without further ado guys, let's get straight to it and drop some serious damage as Barbarian for old time's sake. Okay guys, so as always we are in Mad King's Breach. We are going to destroy this little mini boss, and then I will showcase the build at the very end. I will talk through what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. So as always, the little 5-head tip that I recommend to anyone before you start a boss fight or even a raid is make sure that you are on your defensive stance first, so that way you can activate your offensive stance sort of as a good opener and do as much damage as possible in the beginning of the fight. So I'm going to be ready for that. Let's go and summon him. Come on out here. And then we'll jump straight into the damages. All right, so we have activated sprint, and then we did this, spikes into the fear. We did pop Wrath of the Berserker, which is going to make our auto attacks even stronger. Let's go sprint and then spears again. Make sure we're not getting hit by anything. We're going to do our new ability, which makes us do increased damage as a whole. I'm going to go and pick up some of these health orbs because I'm a little bit of a glass cannon with this build. Not a lot of shielding, but tons of damage, as you can see. Arguably even more so than what I got out of the Demon Hunter. Now, I did pick up that purple orb, but I purposely just auto-attacked the rest of his health, so I didn't use any of the skills. You can even rewind and rewatch that if you don't believe me. I noticed it in real time, but I wanted to finish my thought process before I interrupted. But yeah, so again, I feel really good about this build. It feels very strong in single targets or even in dungeons. And now we'll go to West March and or just any armory so I can showcase the actual build and talk about some of the set items I would recommend. Okay, so for this build, the primary attack that we are using is going to be Frenzy. This is by far the one that is going to be empowered the most out of any skill we are using. Next one is going to be Sunder. This is a brand new skill that you unlock, well, actually after the most recent big patch that we had, which basically means you jump into the air, slamming the ground, similar to other skills that the Barbarian has, but it also increases the damage that the opponents or the enemies take after they've been smashed by you on the ground for 6 seconds by 30%, which is a pretty significant amount of time. And then we're using Sprint and Chain Spear, and then Wrath of the Berserker. Now for the headpiece, we are using, while Sprint is active, your skills will, with projectile attacks, are empowered with wind, allowing them to trigger Firestorm and deal 20% increased damage. Now, obviously, after we do Sprint, the only other far away or range skill that we're using is our spikes, which is why when I was using this build, this is why I said you do want to pop Sprint first and then go into your spears. For the shoulders, Wrath of Berserker cooldown increased by 15%. For the chest piece, Chain Spears now hurl 3 flaming spears that deal all that damage all nearby enemies in their path and leave a burning trail, which helps with the Firestorm with the headpiece. Now for the pants, Sprint now also increases movement speed of all nearby allies. You could change that. Let's see who I would want to switch that out with. I think that was just left over from my farm build and or just not having a better essence available for the skills that I was using. So let's go ahead to the pants again. We're not using Leap, no Ground Strike. Sprint, nope, we don't want to use that one for Sprint. Leap, Furious Charge, Ground Stomp, Leap, Chain Spears now also shattering. Oh yeah, this is what I would want to use. Chain Spear now also shatters enemy armor, increasing all damage enemies take by 8% for 3 seconds. That's going to be the pants that you're going to want to use. I did forget about those. Now let's go ahead and go back to the build themselves. So this is almost fully essenced out. I forgot about those pants that I didn't have yet. Going back to this, for the main hands, you can probably guess the rest of these. They buff the heck out of Frenzy. So while Frenzy is fully stacked, each attack unleashes 3,702 damage to all enemies in front of you. Cannot occur more often than once every 0.4 seconds. When Frenzy deals critical hits, your primary attack speed is increased by 50%. And then this one, Frenzy increases damage you deal to that enemy by 6% for 3 seconds, stacking up to 30%. Again, that sort of ramp damage with Frenzy. And then for this one, we are using Cruelty, which is Wrath of the Berserker now increases your critical hits chance instead of attack speed, which is obviously going to go well with this one when that increases your attack speed after you do a critical hit. Now, for the set bonuses, I don't have them perfectly set up because I'm bouncing between a lot of different classes right now, but I would recommend a 2-piece Vithus to extend the duration of both Wrath of the Berserker as well as Sprint, as well as a 4-piece Shalbaz. So 2-piece Shalbaz increases your primary attack damage by just a flat 15% damage, which with everything else going on for Frenzy, this is going to make Frenzy just out of this world good. And then for the 4-piece for Shalbaz, it gradually increases your attack speed. So you're basically going to be, bursting with your sprint into your spear. Whoops. Oh, what? Yeah. Jesus. So you're basically going to be bursting with speed and increasing the damage they take because you're going to use Sunder into sprint with spears, which is also going to increase the damage they take once you get the right pants. But then also you're going to be able to get a Firestorm off that. And then Wrath of Berserker is going to make sure that your Frenzy critical strikes. And then after that, your Frenzy will just ramp up your single target damage and doing tons and tons of damage for you. Very, very easy to operate and manage, but also does a pretty surprising amount of damage for most resonances. So I hope you guys enjoy this build, and until next time, lock it in and let me know what your favorite Barbarian build is for both dungeons and raids. I know there's some really good ones out there, but this one's probably my favorite because I'm a little, biased. But until next time, lock it in.